Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Degenerates podcast.
Yeah, just welcome
This
to the
episode-
Degenerates podcast.
This episode is all about the thing that Mike brought in.
Yeah, hi, show and tell. Here is my presentation. It's about psychedelics. That's what it's about. So, I don't know, dude. I guess a good place to start would be like, what are psychedelics? What do they do? What do they mean?
Psychedelics. They're like they're those hardcore drugs. Like, don't they like they're like meth and heroin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get super addicted to them, and you
then,
die.
Yeah, every time you take a psychedelic, you die instantly.
Okay,
You just
that
implode.
makes sense.
But yeah, so essentially, psychedelics are drugs that like make you trip balls. They make you hallucinate with your senses, like your tactile, visual, auditory, things like that. They can also make you change like your affect, so like how you feel. So things like that, yeah.
And there's a few different kinds of psychedelic drugs.
Marijuana is considered a psychedelic drug.
I think certain strains are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
apparently you can trip with edibles.
Yeah, Alejandro had a strain called LSD, and it had this because there's usually CBD and THC.
Yeah.
But it had something else in it that actually did make you hallucinate.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and
just by smoking it?
Yeah, just by smoking it.
What the fuck?
I don't normally smoke weed, but I did try that just to see, because and it does give you like slight hallucinations, and you can just buy it from the government. It's marijuana.
Yeah, because it's Canada.
Yeah,
weed's legal. And also DMT. I think DMT is legal in Canada for like research.
I don't think so.
No.
Mescaline is legal. Mescaline is legal for anybody.
I don't even know.
Well, not mescaline. Mescaline. Sorry, I said that wrong. Mescaline is illegal, but peyote is legal for anybody. It was kept legal for like tribal purposes, but peyote has mescaline in it. Even though mescaline is illegal, you can have a peyote cactus and do mescaline all fucking day as long as it's from the peyote.
Weird.
And mescaline is I've never even seen it or anything, but it's have you ever heard of the Doors of Perception?
No, I've never heard that before.
It's this book. The Doors, the band The Doors named themselves after the book, and that whole book's just about a mescaline trip. And this guy, there's a Family Guy episode where they do a parody of it, but he does mescaline, and then he goes on this like walk through the desert, and he like sees himself die or some shit.
Oh, dude, that's epic.
Yeah, and that's what the book's about.
Yeah, isn't that really like? Isn't there like a big thing with psychedelics and this thing called ego death?
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so essentially, like, if you look at it from a psychoanalytical perspective, you have like your id, ego, superego, and your ego is like kind of like the interaction between the id and the superego, and then ego. You're just like, when you experience ego death, your ego dies. So it's all id and superego. It's like your representation of yourself is dead. Which is a really cool concept to just try and think about. Like, you are dead, but different parts of you are still alive. Like, in your psyche. This is a cool thing to, like, think about and learn about. Like, just what experiences can do to you. It's epic. Because Mike Tyson did DMT.
How often?
I don't know. I think he just did it once, but he was like, it changed my
Oh.
entire life, or it changed my entire life. I don't know
Yeah.
how. I don't know how to do his
I
speaking.
yeah, I heard I was like a couple weeks ago I was watching a Jordan Peterson video, and
Okay.
he's just talking about how when people smoke DMT, they have they like go to another world and see a whole bunch of crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I've never like that's not really something that I've ever heard of other than from DMT. It's
Yeah.
something else that's interesting about DMT is that we make it in our own bodies.
We make it in our lungs, our other thing, and then it's like our pineal gland does something too.
Mm-hmm.
And the eye of Horus looks like the pineal gland when you split it. Like it was probably just a coincidence, but it really does look like the pineal gland. Like when you cut open the brain and look at the pineal gland, it looks like the eye of Horus.
Maybe it's not a coincidence.
Maybe it was done by the Egyptians.
Yeah, they've been cut. The Egyptians did a lot with people's brains. Like whenever they mummified someone, they'd like take the people's brains out through their nose. They probably knew that.
Like, how would they even know that the pineal gland was awesome? How do they even know that, dude?
Well, it looked cool. It doesn't matter if it's awesome. It just looked cool.
I actually looked at brains not too long ago. I looked at rat brains.
Those aren't human brains, though.
No, but like I'm looking at them. I have to make like a map of them and like figure out which areas are which. It's pretty epic, dude. But yeah,
do you get to give rats DMT?
No, I wish we gave them not heroin. We gave them morphine.
Morphine?
Yeah, morphine. So then we did it in experiments. You know, it was pretty awesome.
What about LSD?
LSD, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I've never done LSD.
Yeah, a lot of people these days haven't done it, but like.
But it was really big. It was really apparently it was really safe back in the day. Like they had the original recipe and shit, but now they don't have it.
What do you mean?
Like they had like the guy who made it. He made it on
Albert
accident.
Hoffman.
Yeah, that guy. He made it, and it was like, oh shit, so this does this, and then he died, and now we don't have the recipe, so now we're just recreating it.
Well, he didn't die until like what, 50, 60 years after he first made it?
Yeah, but I don't think we have his recipe. His original recipe for LSD. That makes it like pure.
No, we have the recipe.
Like recreations of the recipe.
Well,
right?
if you remake any recipe that was ever made, it's always going to be a recreation of a recipe.
No, I know that, but we don't, like, someone made the recipe from scratch after the guy died and didn't have it just notes.
No, we have, like, all of Albert Hoffman's, like, notes and everything from way back. They're all, like, published. You can read his old journals. You can read his trip reports from, like, the 40s when you can read the trip report of the first ever LSD trip in a book.
Wasn't he on, like, a bicycle?
Yeah, he wrote, he wasn't... He did it in the lab, and then he rode his bike home.
Accident, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the first acid trip.
Well, I'm not ever gonna trust my brother as a source for psychedelic stuff anymore.
Oh,
he was like, "We lost everything. Everything is gone. We don't know what we're doing."
Yeah, that's something that I've heard about MDMA too, but it's not true. Because because LSD is in nature, kind of. It's in ergot, but you can't eat it in ergot because it's very poisonous.
Good.
So it's basically like you have to extract it. And it's a crazy like you can't do it at home. You need really good like lab equipment and shit. Like really expensive lab equipment in order to do it.
Do you want to just start a drug lab? Let's just start a drug lab. Let's just do it.
No. But
Okay. But yeah,
you're still able to make like good like pure LSD. It's just not something that you're gonna find on the street around here.
No,
because we don't have that. I haven't heard, because I know like 20 years ago when the guy I'm living with was growing up, he says that it was in London and they'd get all of their acid from London, and that was where it was. But I haven't even heard of anything like that. It probably got like shut down,
I guess.
Yeah,
that's shitty.
So that's why you should just get legal LSD.
What is legal LSD?
1P LSD.
What's that?
It's a drug. You take it the exact same way that you would take LSD. And your body breaks it down into LSD, but it's not LSD. But your body breaks it down into LSD, and then it's LSD when it's in your body. That's so cool. Then it makes it's an LSD trip anyways.
So you can buy it from like where? The government. Hell yeah.
Well, you just buy it online. You in the city, you're able to buy it at like stores. Like stores will sell it, but like if you're in a town, you gotta buy it online.
Where's your plug? Oh, he owns, the bong store. He works in the bong store.
Yeah.
So anyways, so back to like DMT, dude. So there's this.
Wait.
What?
I think that we should talk about LSD a little more, just because I think that of all the psychedelics, LSD is probably the one that is different. It's completely different from all the others.
Different how?
Well, all of the other ones, first off, are like natural. They're like plants.
Okay.
I can't think of any other psychedelic. Well, even though like ergot does, but like still they have to change. Ergot is like a natural fungus, but in order to get LSD from it, you have to change like the chemical structure and then change it back and shit. It's not something that you can just like get easily like any other psychedelic. And also, the trip is just completely 100% different. Well, with a lot of other psychedelic hallucinogens, like it's not more intense, but it's just crazier shit happens. Like I was watching a Steve-O video on YouTube, and he was talking about all the drugs he's done, and he talked about acid, and he talks about how the first time that he did acid, he was lying on his bed, but also he was like, there were 3 of him, and he was like lying on his bed, and there were 3 of him lying on his bed. And I had a similar experience, my like pretty much only time doing it, where I was in my room, and my whole room became like mirrors. All the walls became mirrors, and I was just looking at myself, but then I was also able to see myself back through the mirrors and shit.
What the fuck?
And I was just actually like talking to myself.
What
and
the fuck?
It was like crazy shit like that I've never heard ever come from any. And it also works completely differently, because a lot of the other drugs, they work because they're similar to DMT, but LSD works because it's similar to serotonin. And it's just a completely different thing.
So other like psychedelics focus on like dopamine, whereas LSD is on serotonin.
And LSD, it affects like 40, 50 different receptors throughout your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's any other psychedelic that affects like that many receptors.
Hmm.
It's LSD does a lot of stuff.
Damn. What if I took like a gallon of it? Would I just like instantly die?
No, you wouldn't die,
What
but
if I
you'd be
told you I had a gallon of LSD right beside me right now?
well. If you were to drink a gallon of LSD, then you would be high. You'd be high for a long time, but you wouldn't die.
Cool.
Cause I heard a story of there were these guys and they got LSD in powder form, but they thought that it was speed, so they did like it was like 4 people and they split 40 grams of it between each other, which is a lot because LSD is in micrograms.
Oh shit. Fuck.
And you like 100 micrograms and you're tripping balls.
Oh my
Like,
god.
and they did 40 grams between them and they were high for like 3 weeks or something and they all had to go to like the psychiatric ward and shit because they were fucked out of their heads
Oh my god.
because they thought they were doing speed.
Like, can you go like get like LSD induced psychosis?
Yeah,
You get psychosis
LSD
from anything.
Well, like, what
Like,
do you mean anything?
You can get it from alcohol.
Alcohol actually is the only drug I think that I've never read psychosis, that someone got psychosis from it.
Really? Because I saw one where some guy did.
Oh, well, if
Then
you
he went-
saw it,
Then he went
then,
drinking right after.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I think psychosis is generally just caused by like really stressful a lot of stress on your psychological health probably.
Maybe.
And cuz psychedelic trips and or even like any high can if you do too much or something, it can become really intense and it might trigger something. I've heard of like schizophrenia and stuff being triggered by drugs like that.
Schizophrenia? What?
Yeah.
Lifelong schizophrenia.
Huh?
Lifelong schizophrenia triggered by drugs.
Well, yeah, because schizophrenia usually doesn't show itself until like your early 20s.
Yeah, so why would doing psychedelics trigger that biological thing?
Because schizophrenia is usually triggered by what I was talking about before, like really hard life. Because you don't need to do drugs. Like lots of times it will get triggered like when you move away from your parents and like go to school or something, and then you have to be alone, and it might be really hard on you, and it can trigger schizophrenia.
Weird.
But it's just like whenever you get it can be triggered by too much stress and shit or like stuff like that.
Interesting.
However, if you get schizophrenia from doing a drug, then you were probably going to get it at some point anyways.
Yeah.
So
because it usually shows up pretty young.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else do you know about LSD?
I think I'm done talking about LSD. You said you wanted to go back to DMT?
Sure, yeah. So DMT is like characterized by basically you feeling like you're in another place and seeing a bunch of different like creatures like elves / gnomes or whatever the fuck, and they're doing like some shit. And one I fucking forget his name, but he's like a big, like, he talks about it all the time. And essentially he was like, hey, when I did DMT, I went to this place, there were these gnomes here, and they could, like, speak things into existence. And then they urged him to try to do the same thing, and then eventually he was able to do it. And so that was fucking weird. So, I think what DMT could be is something, like, that pulls the veil back of, like, it's, like, basically just, like shrooms, basically. It puts you in, like, a dreamlike state. With DMT, it just removes the veil of consciousness, essentially.
Yeah, because DMT is a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot stronger, a lot shorter, actually. It's like 10-minute trip.
Unless you do it in ayahuasca.
Oh, right.
Because if you drink it, then it lasts like 10 hours.
Yeah. Huh. Weird. But yeah, that, like, trip is related to the idea of the Logos, actually, present in the Bible. It's like God spoke the universe into existence. The Word was God. The Word was with God. The Word was God. And so that was pretty fucking epic. And what I think that means is I just recently rewatched the biblical lectures by Jordan Peterson. What it basically means is that God is the thing which creates, like, something out of nothing. And God can do that. He is it, and he can do it.
And he did it with DMT.
I mean, I think that DMT was just a way for you to, like, be able to see that, like, in action, like, in your own brain.
Well, yeah, because DMT's everywhere.
Yeah,
like, it's in people.
Yeah,
it's in a shit ton of plants.
It's in rats.
It's all over the place. They call it the spirit molecule. It's in most mammals. It's in most mammals.
Dude, that's epic. I wish I was a spirit molecule. Instead of spirit animals, we should have spirit molecules. So, like, I would be ATP. I'm ATP. My spirit animal is ATP.
Okay. My spirit animal is HIV.
Cool. Nice. Damn, you got an epic one. I just got a shitty one. Shitty one that basically just...
Yeah, I've got the S tier rank.
S tier rank? Dude, you see those tier lists on YouTube?
I was watching Mumkey do a tier ranking of mental illnesses last night on Twitch.
Epic. Do people even watch those unironically? Like tier lists?
Well, I'm not even sure if people make them unironically. I mean, that
I watched like 2 minutes of PewDiePie being like, "Hey, these are the Minecraft mobs I could beat up or kill me in a fight." It's like literally his channel is just Minecraft now.
I watched iDubbbz do a fast food tier list.
That one was kind of alright.
Yeah. Did you see PewDiePie's fucking video, that Minecraft song, Mine All Day?
No. I explicitly refuse to watch it. I do not.
Well, it starts off like some normal Minecraft video, but then, like, in the middle of it, like, he gets to Bedrock, and then he's like, yes, I am the lowest that anybody could ever be, and then suddenly it turns into, like, some rap video. It's not even about Minecraft anymore, and he's just yelling at people that they're never... He's yelling at us, the viewer, that we're never going to do anything with our lives, and he's the best, and nobody can beat him because nobody can ever achieve their dreams. Just take it from PewDiePie. Nobody can achieve their dreams.
You see, with psychological projection, with Jungian psychoanalytical, with Freudian psychoanalytical projection, that's basically like him telling us that he will never do anything like that.
Whoa, but psychology. No, he's the number one. It's a joke. He's the number one YouTuber. He just fucking uploaded video games and got super famous. So yeah,
Dude,
but huh?
dude, out with the old, in with the new. We will destroy PewDiePie and consume his corpse, and then become the next number one YouTuber.
Okay, let's get back to psychedelics.
Right. Okay. So
Are we done with hallucinogens?
sure. What's another
Let's.
psychedelic that doesn't hallucinate you? What?
Oh well, they all like make you hallucinate, but they have different names. Cause there's only two that I really know about, but I'm pretty sure there's more. But there's psychedelic hallucinogens, but then there's also psychedelic deliriants.
What the fuck is deliriums? What the fuck? Makes you like
Deliriants. Deliriants you won't hear about much just because they don't
exist.
no, they exist.
Oh.
But it's the trip people don't generally do them recreationally other than like if they're curious to see what they will do because it's hard to have a good trip on them.
Okay.
Uh with LSD, magic mushrooms, all the hallucinogens, you can the most of the time you will generally have a good trip.
Okay.
But deliriants are different, and they don't work the same way that hallucinogens do because deliriants they work by blocking certain chemicals.
Oh.
Uh, I forget what, but they're blockers, and
Oh, that's so
they
bad.
and one of the most common there's the over the counter deliriants we have is Benadryl.
What the
Um,
fuck?
yeah, Benadryl. If you have
That's for
like
colds, right?
it's for allergies.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And if you go to the store, you buy like a Benadryl, and then you eat all of them at the same time,
Oh.
then you'll trip balls. And
If you eat
it's
them all at the
actually
same time.
oh yeah, because like if you're gonna do this, then you should look it up and look at what safe dosages are. But generally, you can eat like 5 to 10, and that's a pretty safe dose. And you'll also trip balls, depending on how much is in it. Like you'd have to do the research yourself,
What the
because
fuck?
there's different strengths and shit of
So,
Benadryl.
like, but it's pretty unlikely that you'll actually have a good trip. So you'll just be like tripping balls, but
Oh
like in a
yeah,
bad way.
because if you go to Arrowwood, I've never done a deliriant, except I ate like one Amanita muscaria mushroom, but that wasn't enough to trip. Uh, but um, uh, but if you go to Arrowwood and you read the trip reports of psychedelic deliriant trips, like Benadryl, they're pretty. One thing that generally happens is people will see spiders and scorpions,
Oof.
like on the floor. There's quite a few where people are going around their house, killing, like stomping on all the spiders and scorpions, trying to get rid of them and shit all around their house.
But they're
Uh,
not even there.
yeah, they're not there. They don't exist. You will see people who don't exist,
What the
and you
fuck?
will talk to them. Like there's lots of trips where they'll see like they'll be hanging out with their friends or some shit, but then it turns out that their friends were never there, even though they were like hanging out with them for like an hour. Like you go like fucking crazy. It doesn't feel like you're hallucinating. That's why because the thing with hallucinogens is you're hallucinating,
Oh
but with
shit.
psychedelic deliriums you don't know. It feels like it's all real, and
That's fucked.
if you do want to do a psychedelic deliriant, then probably Benadryl or Amanita muscaria would be the safest ones because those only last like 6 hours.
Oh my god.
And most, because you can also get like Deadly Nightshade and stuff, Belladonna,
Hmm.
and those ones will last for like 3 days to a week.
Oh fuck that.
And all the trip reports that I've ever read of those, they ended up in the psychiatric ward, and that's not fun.
No.
Because they can't fucking uh, nothing is real, but they don't realize that,
Yeah.
and they're fucking crazy.
Holy shit, that's fucked. That's epic,
Mm-hmm.
dude.
Yeah, it's really cool, but it's like, yeah, they call deliriance like the dark side of psychedelics
Yeah.
because like every single bad thing that I'd ever read about like LSD or anything is like deliriant.
Oh. Hmm. Wow. I think that psychedelics are gonna there's gonna be a resurgence of them. Like they're like there's like it's gonna be like the 60s and 70s all over again. They're gonna get legalized. We're gonna be like,
I don't
oh
think
shit.
it'll be that big because it was really big back then. Like it was like 80% of people had done LSD by the time they were like 15 or some shit.
Mm-hmm. I think
I don't think it'll get that crazy because I think our education is a lot better now. So I feel like
when has that stopped anyone from doing anything?
well, I think that it will make people make better decisions and maybe not try it when they're 12.
Maybe not.
Maybe wait until your brain's developed a little more, and then also not do it as much because people were doing it like every weekend, which isn't good.
No.
Like if people know more about it and they know more about safe practices for psychedelics, then there'll be less bad stuff happening.
Yeah. Well, I can kind of see
it.
like yeah. Yeah. I can see
Mm-hmm.
like a resurgence of like the Dionysian way of life in like raves and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's like in Greek times, and that's like all drug shit.
Yeah, I could see raves and stuff becoming more popular.
So that's like where our like spirituality kind of goes to, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why we like drugs. A lot of people like drugs so much. Like not like just like allergy medicine or like cold medicine. That's why people like drugs so much, because they have like this idea that's like will produce a transformation effect. Because that's what psychedelics did. That's what we eat psychedelics like all the time when we were like fucking eight men.
We used psychedelics all the time when we were 8.
Ape, like monkeys, not like monkeys, but
Oh,
like
yeah. And
like early man.
I remember reading a couple years ago about how scientists are researching like what they called the fourth drive. Like there's the drive for like sex and eating and
Sex, hunger, thirst, and then what else? Spirituality.
Well, they said that the fourth drive was basically like the drive to get high. And they were researching how dogs and stuff. Dogs actually really like what 5-MeO DMT, which is crazier than DMT. It's actually stronger than DMT. And have you ever heard of those frogs that you lick? And that they have 5-MeO DMT on them, and that is legal in Canada. 5-MeO. So if you get those frogs, it's actually supposed to be a stronger trip than DMT.
Oh shit! I think that's what Mike Tyson did.
Oh, the frog?
I think he got like the venom from the frog and then he smoked it.
Oh well, you all you need to do is lick the frog.
Yeah, but like it's icky. Fuck licking frogs, dude. That's gross.
It doesn't matter, man.
No, it's gross, dude. I'd rather smoke the venom.
Yeah, well, that stuff is legal in Canada.
Dude, let's just order all the frogs. Like squish
Yeah,
them like an orange.
I want one of those frogs.
As like a pet.
Yeah, and then like I don't know, every few weeks
I don't know. Like maybe I'll lick it. I don't know.
Maybe I'll lick it every once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
I think they're endangered or something though. So I don't know.
Probably can't get them then.
Yeah, they're really hard to
find.
Dude,
why not like get two and like Noah's Ark that shit?
On Noah's Ark, God told him to bring 7 animals, and everyone says it was 2, but it was 7 of each kind of animal.
Why 7? That's like the Japanese good luck number or some shit, right? Maybe. 7, because like 7 Dragon Balls.
7 is a lucky number in English too. Like lucky number 7.
Okay, never heard that before.
Oh,
maybe I have. Sure. Weird, dude. Psychedelics. So much. We don't know anything about psychedelics.
Yeah.
We know. Some stuff.
That's true. That's true.
We know some stuff. Like we don't know anything. We don't even know a whole lot about like the experiences people have.
We don't even know a lot about brains in general.
No, we don't. Like we're our own biggest mystery.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, dude. Consciousness? What the fuck even is that? What does it mean to be conscious?
Yeah, I was watching last night on Mumkey's stream where he was doing the tier list on mental illness. He was talking about how he wonders if in 1,000 years people will look back on a lot of our like books like the psychology of the brain and shit, and they'll just laugh and be like, man, they had this shit all wrong. They didn't know anything at all.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the half-life on psychological research is 5 years. 5.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not like we throw everything out at the end of those 5 years, but it's like we update.
Yeah.
There's so much new shit. It's like, oh shit, all this old shit's kind of retarded now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, fucking P300? That's fucking retarded. I actually did the study. I've done, like, P300 skin conductance. That shit's epic, dude.
There's so much we have to learn.
There's just a lot. So much.
But if you do a psychedelic, then you'll know everything while you're on it. But no. Well, you'll feel like you know everything.
I felt it was the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know anything.
Really? I felt like, man, I understand everything, man. It all makes so much sense. And then later I'd be thinking about it and be like, that didn't make any goddamn sense at all.
It's like, holy shit, macaroni is everything. The world is made out of macaroni elbows, dude. String theory, get the fuck out of here. Atomic theory, get the fuck out of here. It's all macaroni. But
yeah, other than that, yeah, I think that's all this episode.
Yeah, I think that's everything we need to talk about.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know. Do psychedelics if they're legal where you're from.
Yeah, which in Canada it's mescaline and 5-MeO-DMT. Well, peyote, not mescaline, the peyote.
Yeah. Mescaline, which is in peyote, is legal.
And you can buy the peyote cactus online at sacredseed.com in Canada. They won't ship outside of Canada because that's illegal in America, but in Canada you can have that. And I don't know about the other countries, but yeah, you can get fucked up legally. Don't worry about it. You can look it up. Whatever country you're in, you can trip balls legally.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for watching this episode of Degenerates podcast.
That's the end of the episode.
It is. Goodbye.
Goodbye.